Militarily Speaking, episode 57, Project Healing Waters.
This episode, we talk with John Jones, Vice President of Development at Project Healing Waters.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and Jodi Vickery. I am the Regional Military Executive for Armed Forces Bank, and Jodi is the Executive Vice President, Director of Military Consumer Lending. I think we've changed that, right? Is that right?
I think you changed it last episode.
I think it's consumer banking. Though,
It is,
right.
Yeah.
I got it right.
Basically, I'll just do whatever they ask me to do.
On a moment's notice.
On a moment's notice. Yes.
And deliver.
Yeah, well, sometimes. But again, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning about our guest, John Jones with Project Healing Waters. John, welcome. I'm going to take just a second and tell our audience a little bit about you. So,
does he need to fact check this or what?
I hope not, since he provided it.
I don't know. I'm going to find out.
Yes.
You can
fact check it. You can elaborate.
Yeah,
you can amplify, whatever we want to do here. So John is a retired staff sergeant of the United States Marine Corps. He retired after 12 years of service to our country after being injured in Iraq on his second tour. And I'll push pause on your bio and just say thank you for your service. That's much appreciated.
Agreed. Yes.
Throughout his years in the military, he developed strong leadership skills, which he carried over into his work as a nonprofit executive. John has dedicated over 15 years of his professional career to the nonprofit sector and helping his fellow veterans. Throughout his career, John has demonstrated a commitment to causes that impact individuals and communities in need. He has worked with organizations focused on issues such as housing, education, job placement, and veteran services, all important, utilizing his extensive experience and knowledge to create positive change in the world. He's made significant contributions to the nonprofit space, working tirelessly to raise funds, create awareness, and implement strategies to help organizations meet their goals. He's known for his expertise in building relationships with donors, volunteers, and other stakeholders to further the mission of nonprofits. He's excited to bring his leadership and experience to Project Healing Waters, which you're going to hear all about today. Yeah. He lives in Windsor, Colorado, which sounds just like a lovely place by name.
It's heaven.
Sounds like someplace I'd like to be right now. And enjoys spending time in the mountains, riding his Harley, which I'm not sure I would do, but good for you.
He's on his Harley right now. Yeah.
On the podcast, so pardon the wind noise, and spending time with his children. So welcome, John. I'm sure all of that was not new information to you, but we wanted to introduce you to our audience. It's an honor to have you on our show. Thank you for being here, first and foremost.
Thank you.
We'd love to.
Wait, can I say something? John won't say this about himself, but I'm looking at your work history. We talked about your 15 years, but everywhere from VBC Giving Foundation, America's Warrior Partnership, Workshops for Warriors, Marine Corps Scholarship Foundation, Disabled Sports USA, Wall Street Warfighters Foundation. Talk about experience.
And a busy guy.
I know.
And he's taken time for us. We always like to start by giving you the floor to tell, just at 100,000 feet, maybe 50,000 feet, tell our audience about Project Healing Waters and kind of what its overall vision and purpose is. And then I'm confident we'll dive off into a lot of different places with some more detailed questions.
Yeah, so, of course. Well, one, thank you for having me on the show. Really do appreciate it. So what does Project Healing Waters do? So we are into the whole health mindfulness of helping heal veterans through fly fishing. Now, generally speaking, whenever you think of fly fishing, you think of the old rich man's sport of fly fishing, right? Well, it's not. We actually get our veterans from all branches of service, all eras, all ages, all demographics out to really look at their whole health and mental health well-being, while utilizing fly fishing as that tool, from the art of the cast to building their own rods, tying their own flies, getting them out on the water and having them connected to the water itself is one of the best healing therapies and adjunct healing across the United States. We have served over 65,000 veterans in the past 19 years. We serve generally per year of our registered participants are around, we just got this number today, which was 7,330 veterans that we are serving right now in our 19 year. Next year is our 20th year. So we're really kicking off a really big initiative for Women on the Fly to get more women veterans in our programs, because women in the military sexual trauma side of the house, in dealing with everything that the ladies have to deal with whenever coming out of service and while being in service and out of service, we know that they have just as much to give and they've served just as much as the men have. And a lot of nonprofit organizations aren't focusing on the women aspect of what they've done. So what we're doing is we're pushing more women, because by 2030, there's going to be 14% of the whole veteran population are going to be female. And that's a big jump from where we are right now with female service members. And it's not just the veteran, but those that are coming out of the military units and things of that nature from their transition units, we help them as well. So we're in 183 programs across 48 states, across this great nation. And that's pretty much the overall arching 30,000 foot view of Project Healing Waters.
That's a wide reach.
I know. What two states are you missing?
Louisiana and Hawaii.
Does she fly fish for sharks in Hawaii? I don't know.
On fish, you would be amazed on what you can catch on a fly. You can catch bass, you can catch carp, you can catch trout, you can catch bonefish, you can catch tarpon, you can catch, actually, which we just saw, you can actually catch on a fly a marlin, striped marlin. And it's really, really cool to catch a marlin on a fly rod.
Be my biggest fear.
That'd be the coolest thing.
When I go fishing with my family, I'm like, okay, I'll hold the pole, but if we catch something, somebody's got to take it, because there's so many issues that transpire after that.
So I learned, we talked a few months ago, John, when I first learned of you on Fox and Friends, I saw that episode, I thought very highly of you, thought very highly of the organization, and I wanted to find out more. Surprisingly, when I reached out to you, you actually responded. And once you found out more about me, I'm sure you feel bad that you did respond to me. But it was awesome to hear about it's great to hear your mission. It was great to introduce myself to you and vice versa. And you're a pretty selfless guy. You're very humble. And we had talked about your Super Bowl experience back then, right? Because
yes, sir.
You might want to tell our audience a little bit about why you were selected, why you were chosen, why you went, and what it meant to you to be able to go to that. Didn't the Chiefs win that Super Bowl? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Remind me.
They had a parade.
I'm sorry, John, because he must be a Denver fan, right? Because he's from Colorado.
I'm not. No, I'm not at all.
Who do you like?
I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. I'm sorry. It's back in the day with Joe Montana.
You're even more bitter then. Okay, I got it. Yeah.
So this is a bad subject, Tom. Well done.
No, it's okay,
all right,
Tom.
we'll edit this. All right. So, but let's talk a little bit about that, will you?
Sure. For the Super Bowl, I was nominated by the Marine Corps Association, which they train all of the Marines from enlisted to officer level in the Marine Corps on all myriad of different types of things that the Marine Corps doesn't focus on from their education level, from all of their different schools. So they do the adjunct education for active duty service members. And my colonel, who I was, while I was in the service in 1-7, Suicide Charlie, he ended up nominating me to go to the Super Bowl under USAA. And I was kind of blown away with it. And he goes, "You've done everything for the past 17 years. And I'm coming up on my own 20th anniversary of being injured on January 3rd. And he was like, everything you've always done, I'm putting your name in for this." And I'm like, okay, great. Thank you, but I don't need it. Send it to somebody else who needs it more. And he goes, "No, your name's already been submitted and you're going to get a call from USAA. I'm like, okay, great. Got a call from USAA and they talked to me and they said, okay, well, you get a ticket and get 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. We're going to fly you out, going to put you up at the Bellagio, which is not a bad place to go. And you're going to experience the Super Bowl. And I said, okay, great. And they said, well, you get one person to go with you. And I said, okay. this is awesome. So what did I, selflessly want to do is I wanted to bring my colonel, but he says, no, I have to be on a boat cruise. And I'm like, well, that's lame. So I ended up bringing my brother. Because that was one of his dreams. It was to go to the Super Bowl. So if I get a free ticket, might as well. And I knew I could not choose one of my 4 children because they would think that I would be playing physics.
You'd be done.
So I would be
Disowned.
totally slammed on. So I ended up, just dodging that bullet left and right. So I ended up taking my brother. We had a really good experience, and it was quite awesome to see and to be around with the other veterans that got selected. A whole lot of really, really good vets that were selected because of their service. What they're doing after service was also a big, huge aspect of what USA wanted to do. And it was basically a once in a lifetime, because whenever I saw the amounts of how much the tickets were, I was like, yep, no, I'm going to be able to afford this ever again. So might as well go now. But it was really, really unique. And I felt very humbled and honored to be able to go and to represent Project Healing Waters while I was there. We got on Fox and Friends that morning. It was at 2 a.m. in the morning, which was really, really rough for a 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. showing. And it was cold, windy. And
yeah.
But other than that, I felt like I was in the field. So, I mean, it was okay.
Yeah.
Did you make some new friends while you were there? For vets or people you could talk about Project Healing Waters? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, all of the vets, I said, hey, look, if you guys are needing something, right? If you're needing that connectiveness and if you're needing that tribe again, because you're out in the middle of nowhere, go to Project Healing Waters, find your nearest one, which is really easy to do for veterans to be able to find. Is they go to our website and they look at locations. We got the map of the United States, and you can see where your closest Project Healing Waters is. And that's really, really beneficial for the veterans that are wanting to get out. Let's just take a look at it this way. You get out, you're with your brothers for 4 years. You get out, you go back home. I'm going to use Oklahoma, for instance, because I'm from there. I go back home to Enid, Oklahoma. And I don't have my tribe. Nobody understands me. So where can you go to get the exact same level of tribe and commitment and community and connectiveness? And that's with Project Healing Waters, because you can go with another group of people that are either from Vietnam, Korea, we're still serving World War II veterans. I mean, it is absolutely crazy to think about how many eras of veterans that we're serving across the United States, and some are still World War II. Well, I loved that as a vet, because whenever I was in a dark place, I just got injured, my men were still overseas. I was like, I want to get back as soon as I possibly could, but I couldn't because they chopped one leg off and then they chopped the other leg off. And you couldn't be there. And I had one veteran, which I'll never forget him. He was a Korean War vet. He walks into the company office where I was at 4th Reconnaissance, and I was sitting there and I'm doing some paperwork, and the guy comes over and he's wearing shorts at probably, I would imagine the guy was probably 87 at the time, wearing shorts, no fingers. And he was like, "What happened to you, son?" I said, "Well, I got blown up, sir. And I'm just continuing to work." And he goes, "I'll talk to you in a minute." And I said, okay. He went over and talked to the colonel, came back, and he was sat down right at my desk. And I was like, "I don't have time for this, but okay, yes, sir. How can I help you?" And he goes, "Tell me your story." I was like, "Well, sir, I really don't want to." And he goes, "Well, let me tell you mine." And whenever he told me, he was blown up in the Chosin Reservoir. He was shot. He couldn't feel his fingers anymore because they were frostbite.
Wow.
So he drove nails through his hand.
Oh my gosh.
To pull the trigger. And then he got blown up and he ended up freezing. Pretty much, he was still alive, but he was frozen, stiff. And everybody put him in a body bag, and he starts to thaw out and he's in a body bag. And for me, I was like, oh my God, that was That's crazy. And then he was like, if you don't tell your story, son, you're going to let the dragon inside of you eat away at you. And I was like, you're absolutely right. Told him my story, told him what happened. He goes, wow, that sucks. And I'm like, well, yeah, it does suck. And so what happened to you, it totally stunk as well. And that ended up, after I got out, tell the story, do that, went on to Alive Day Memories with James Gandolfini, did a movie, told my story, kept telling the story over and over again, and I worked with nonprofit organizations to excel their mission. And what Project Healing Waters does is you get that same type of connectiveness plus opening up and telling your stories while people are tying flies. And then that's where the therapy really starts to happen in their journey of their own mental health, clarity. And then whenever they start building the rod, and as soon as you see that the rise of the fish, whenever they're cast, their first cast, and then, luck of the draw, that trout or bass or whatever comes out of the water and it strikes that fly, and you see the immense joy in the individual. And then as soon as they catch that fish and they're releasing it back into the water, you can feel and you can see their whole being just being more peaceful as they're giving the fish back into the water. It is probably one of the most powerful things that anybody will experience. And to be able to see the veteran that might come in with that 1,000-yard stare, first day, second day, third day, and then they get on the water and you see that 1,000-yard stare just melt away. And you can see that their peace is calm. And that high from doing this activity lasts for months, which is even better. It's better than any drug out there. It's better than any form of, talking to the wizard therapy. It's just so much more. You're in tune with the water and you're in tune with nature and with catching something and releasing it. It's just so much more peaceful, if I could say it that way.
I can hear your love for
I
what
know.
you're doing and
It's pretty passionate.
and
about
how
that,
you're
yeah.
describing that. And you've kind of answered some of what I was curious about, but I might ask it differently just to see if you'd add anything else. So as you're on these, if they're called excursions or what the right way to describe that, what is that experience like? I mean, is it truly all just focused on the fishing? Are there facilitated conversations to help folks get to open up, or does that just happen naturally as
yeah.
part of being in the outdoors, or all of the above? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens naturally. So what's really good is we're not clinical. And because we don't have anybody that is the clinical psychologist on staff that will go in 183 different programs. It all happens organically that people open up. And veterans feel more comfortable whenever they're talking to other veterans and opening up about their story. And I'll give you a really good example of what happened in Montana. We were doing an event, a donor participant event. There was a veteran that had never been involved with Project Healing Waters. Comes in because his brother was the donor that came in to do this. And the kid had that 1,000-yard stare. And I can't say he was a kid. I mean, the gentleman had that 1,000-yard stare. Been to Iraq, was attached to my unit after I had been blown up. And I was like, hey, you were with 1-7 in 2007. Did you know this person, this person, this person? And he was like, yeah, I knew him. And you could tell he wasn't wanting to talk. He wasn't wanting to communicate his time over in Iraq. Got it. I said, okay, well, you know what? I want to talk to you later on. And then he went fishing and he learned how to cast and he learned how to do everything in one day. Caught his first fish, caught another fish, came back immediately. That 1,000-yard stare was gone. He was talking. He was laughing. He was smiling. His brother comes over to me and he goes, I haven't seen him like this ever in the past 10 years. And I said, That's what we do. And it's just getting there and getting in the water. And there's so many different articles and so many different studies that have been shown for therapeutic outdoor recreation and healing is off the charts. And that's exactly what we do every day at Project Healing Waters. We're actually saving people's lives. So whenever you say fly fishing is the old man sport, no, fly fishing saves lives, plain and simple.
I like that. I love that
I
story.
know. It's a lot of good slogans and sayings that he's already shared with us. That story you told kind of caught me off guard, and it was great that you said that too. Have you told your story more since that encounter?
Yes, we have.
So participating with your organization too is, are there any qualifications or any other requirements for people to reach out to you and say, hey, pick me, I want to participate in this event? And then to take that question a step further is, how much do they need to know, or how much teaching goes on to a point where they feel comfortable being out there, especially if it's a first-time experience going out there to do fly fishing? I know you teach them a lot, but if they want to go to your website, which is projecthealingwaters.org, would they just say, I'm interested? Is there a process behind that?
There is. So for veterans that are needing healing, right? Veterans in need, period, is who we serve. Veterans and active duty service members in need of healing. And a lot of veterans won't go out and find it themselves, right? They will sit there and they'll wait until a buddy tells them, or until they get dragged by with one of their family members who's a volunteer. So there's different ways, different levels, right? So veterans who are needing that connectiveness and needing that healing journey. And this is not just a fly fishing trip. This is actually really, really important to point out. We don't just take vets on fly fishing trips and do that. This is a part of a program of our 4 key areas that what we do is tying flies, building our rod, learning the art of the cast, and day trips, right? Like going out to the local pond or the local river and teaching them how to fly fish. That therapy goes along all the way around. So some participants will come in and they'll tie flies, and that's all they want to do. They don't want to go fishing. They don't want to do that. They just want to get that connectiveness of tying the fly with their people that are there. Some will go all the way through that cycle, and then they want to get more involved and become a volunteer. And that's still a part of their healing journey and their healing pathway. Sometimes it's those have never served, but they are avid fly fishermen and they want to help veterans. So they'll come in and be a volunteer, and they'll help veterans learn the love and the art of fly fishing. So there's those different aspects with that. But we're not a fly fishing club. We're a program that's helping individuals with that healing journey and that healing pathway of making sure that they don't go down the rabbit hole and strike down with suicide. That's the one thing. If we could save one life, we've done our job. If we could save 7,000, 8 million lives, we've done our job.
Well said.
So I'm curious, what's the average day look like for you? I mean, we've talked about your background and your bio and all the things that you've done leading up to this. So how does it all come together? I'm sure no day's the same.
Well, every day pretty much starts the exact same. You got to get out of bed and put your legs on. So that's how my day starts. And then I get the kids to school whenever I have them with me. So it's week on, week off for that. And then it goes into getting into the office or jumping on a plane, meeting with a donor. Like all next week, I'm going to be driving all the way across the country. So I'm going across with the truck that we're sweepstakesing and the boat that we're sweepstakesing all the way to Harrisonburg, Virginia for our Mossy Creek Invitational. It is an event where we have donors and veterans coming in together, fishing together, and they do a fly fishing tournament there at Mossy Creek in Harrisonburg, Virginia. And then I turn right around and I go back through the southern route of America and hit up some of our programs and then come home. So For me, it's never a typical day in the office, and it's never a typical day in the life of me, I guess you
Yeah.
could say.
No, I would guess they'd all be different.
Everything's different.
You talked a little bit about ways to support or volunteer. It sounds like if people like are really avid fly fisher people, that they could support veterans that way. But do you have specific ways that people can volunteer, certainly donations are welcome, but talk about some of the volunteer opportunities that they have.
Yeah, so volunteer opportunities that we have. One, they can sign up to be a volunteer. That's the easiest way to do it, is go to the website, find volunteer ways to support, and you can go right there, find your local program and go in, talk to their program lead or their assistant program lead and say, hey, I want to help. There's always donation side of the house. If we've got an event that somebody wants to go to, we have our 10th annual Healing on the Fly in New York City Gala, which will kick off our 20th year anniversary.
That's October 1st, right? Is that
October
around
10th?
Okay. That'll be good. People will learn about that because when this podcast episode is published, it'll be out there for them.
Awesome. Yeah, October 10th is the Healing on the Fly Gala in New York. We have the Greenbrier event in Greenbrier, West Virginia, and White Sulphur Springs. That's also it's a cast and blast. So we've got, with my Marine Corps connections, one of my old captains, now the head dog over there, we're going to bring in Marine marksmanship instructors from the sniper school that, used to be the sniper school, but now they're marksmanship instructors, and some of the Marine Corps shooting team to teach some of the donors, hey, this is what we do in the Marine Corps. So that'll be the blast part, teaching them and letting them shoot some of the Marine Corps weapons that we have. And then moving right into a day of fishing at the Greenbrier. And that's over Veterans Day weekend.
Okay.
In November, we have the sweepstakes, obviously, for the truck and for the boat that we're trying to raise $1 million for. So anybody is free to enter, but we're requesting $5 minimum donation to get out there. $5 gives you one chance. $100 gives you 50 chances to win the truck and the boat and some cool swag from Project Healing Waters. So it's really, really great for us to be able to showcase the gift of a Toyota Tundra that we were gifted, and getting Toyota involved in some of our other sponsors to provide a 2024 Toyota Tundra pickup for us to be able to raffle or sweepstakes off. And we have a Boulder Boatworks drift boat that was donated. Boulder Boatworks did it. Sawyer did the oars for it. It's got our nice fish on it. So it's got Project Healing Waters, beautiful boat. It is probably one of the most beautiful boats I've ever had the chance to get on and fish.
That's awesome. And we were going to ask about the sweepstakes. So while we're there, we can't flash up a picture of the truck because it's audio only, but 2024 Toyota Tundra, you talked about the boat. So to enter, they just go to your website, projecthealingwaters.org, and there's information there, I'd assume.
Yep. As soon as they go on, it boom, flashes up the Toyota Tundra.
Perfect.
How long have you been doing this sweepstakes?
We kicked off at the very end of March, and it will go until we will announce the winner on the week of the 12th of November.
Okay.
And you know what? I mean, if you guys want to see it, I mean, since the viewers can't, but hold on.
Are you showing it to us? All right.
It's getting out. We're going off road.
There's the
Oh, that's awesome.
Can we do a play-by-play like we would in like an NBA game? Can you take that, Jodi?
Go right ahead, Tom. That's awesome. I don't know what all the stuff in the back's for, but yeah, cool.
Well, that's for your water and air, and there's a deck system.
Did I mention that I don't fish much?
And there's a deck system that you can throw your rods in to keep the rods nice. So Decked donated, Lightner donated the rack, Boulder Boatworks donated the boat, the rims, the lift, so BF Goodwrench and OE Wheelworks donated the tires and the rims, and VanWorks donated the lift for us. So basically, The truck, the wrap was donated. Everything on this vehicle was donated, so people can get it either wrapped with our cool logo on it, or they can get it plain. I don't know.
It looked pretty cool with the wrap, just so our
I
audience
know.
knows. We got to see it.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Aren't you amazed, though, John, when you go out, because you're in the business development world of getting sponsorships and donations, how generous some of these companies are? You've name dropped a lot of companies that are supporting you, and maybe there's a connection there, but it's just so cool. We talk to a lot of different nonprofits. There's a lot of people that appreciate the money and the donations, but it sounds like you have an affinity with some of these companies that have a connection to you, and it helps you bring these programs to life and make them available for people that are suffering that could really benefit from these programs. So keep up the good work as you travel the country to tell your story and find companies that embrace what you do because they're serving a population that really needs your help. That was my commentary, I guess.
Well, I appreciate that. And the one thing that I want to, doing this for 17 years is, number one thing is it's not transactional. This is a relationship. We want to build relationships with those that want to support the services, their country, but also have a relationship with them that, one, they get to participate, two, they get to help out, they get to save lives just as much as we do. And it's not always a money transaction. Some of it's a gear transaction for our participants, for fly tying materials and rods and vices and all of the things that go in with this. We don't ever look at this, any of our donors, any of our supporters, as a transaction. It is always a relationship, because in my world of what I do, if you're going to give your time and your treasure to an organization, you want to feel that your time and your treasure is respected, understood, and you will do what is right by the donor, right? I work for the donor. Whatever the donor's wishes are within realm of reasonable, right, is to do what they want to do with their treasure. And that is the biggest thing for us. Is nothing that we do is transactional. And I'll give you a good example of that. We've got Oak Heart Lodge, which is just came on this year as our national fly fishing retreat for veterans, to take them all across the country to Oswego, Michigan, to fish the Muskegon River 32 weeks out of this year. 320 veterans will be going to Oak Heart Lodge in Michigan, and this was the donor's wishes. He wants veterans to come and utilize his lodge and to fish. He gave us a generous donation to pay for all of the trips, the lodge itself, to take all of our veterans there. That is a part of this, and it's not just for this year, it's next year, the year after, and the year after that. This is what it means. So if companies want to help support our national retreat, they can go in directly onto our website and say, hey, I want to help support what this generous donor has done by supporting his mission of getting the veterans on their healing pathway. That's exactly what we do as well.
Amazing.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the reach some more. So at the beginning, we talked about 183 programs, 48 states, everywhere but Louisiana and Hawaii. I mean, you've also expanded into DoD hospitals, warrior transition units, Veterans Affairs, medical centers, and clinics. How are you reaching into those organizations and making them aware of this powerful opportunity?
You mean outside organizations from that, or from there? How did we get into there?
Right. So as you expand into the DoD hospitals and the transition units.
Well, what's great about that is we're on both East and West Coast in the Marine Corps at the warrior transition units. That was an easy win because those Marines, sailors that are sick, ill, and injured have had to go into that unit. And just like my story, right? I go to the hospital, I'm pissed. I don't want to be in the hospital. I want to be out with my Marines. I want to be out in the field. I don't want to be in the hospital. So where's their healing journey start? they're stuck in the hospital. They're stuck in the warrior transition unit. So it was great whenever we went into those units and we're like, hey, we just want to teach these guys how to tie a fly and do that. And we worked with that, worked with the DOD, worked with the Marine Corps to get into those positions. The VA gives us an adaptive grant every year for our adaptive equipment. So in like with Denver, at the Denver VA, I became a part of Project Healing Waters as a participant in 2016 because I was at the Denver VA. I was ready to end my life. And I was stuck in the hospital for 13 weeks. And from there, whenever Project Healing Waters came in, I did more therapy with Project Healing Waters than I did with the actual VA by talking to the wizard. And I attribute them by helping me maintain my mental health and really did truly, I believe, saved me from going down the rabbit hole.
That's real life, man.
But it's not made up and it's not false.
Yeah.
It's 100% factual. I mean, and so whenever I got the chance to jump to become part of Project Healing Waters as their VP of development, I jumped all over it and I wasn't going to take no for an answer.
Somehow I get that about you, that you're not a no taker kind of guy.
Yeah, I was going to ask him if he had a story or two to tell us, but he's checked that. He's checked the bucket list on that one. Yeah. I was also thinking, I didn't realize that 2016 you went there. Next thing, 7 years later, like late 2023, you're the cheerleader for the organization. And
yeah, I do like to wear pom poms every once in a while. But yes,
said like a man.
That's in the next episode, Jodi.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We'll dive into that more in episode 2. That's a tease for the next episode. Yeah. Oh gosh, and it's interesting. I didn't connect that you could take, and it makes total sense after you just said that you could take elements of the program to them in the transition units in the hospital. I mean, you teach them to tie a fly, probably just about anywhere. So that's very cool that you begin that process before they might be physically able to go and experience the outdoor part of it. So,
hey, before you go on, because I think we're going to probably wrap it up in a minute. I just wanted, there's a couple reviews out there of your organization. John, you may have already seen all these, but I just wanted to read them to our audience because it sort of reinforces what you've said to our listeners. But it says it gives participants the opportunity to gain purpose, order, and joy in their lives while gaining the knowledge and skills for a lifelong hobby. It works. I've seen it firsthand. This program saves lives. People think that it's geared towards just participants, but it's a healthy community for our volunteers as well. It's not about fishing. It's about providing moments of joy when sometimes they can't find it. Project Healing Waters has a core set of values, which includes community, accountability, compassion, and excellence. And then just a couple more for you, John. We deal with a lot of hidden disabilities, but have adaptive equipment for participants. They can tie a fly if they just have the use of one hand. If they're in a wheelchair, we can still get them on the water. We're a small program locally, but nationally, it's open to any veteran. And it creates lifelong friendships with like-minded people. It's non-judgmental and they feel safe. The power of this group touches your heart. I mean, right there, sign me up.
Right.
So well done. Thanks for carrying that message.
You know, that's one thing that you can say with over 6,000 volunteers across the United States. They're the bedrock of what we do because we couldn't do what we do without them. And some of our volunteers have been with us since the inception. And since Captain Ed Nicholson went out to Walter Reed in 2005, while he was going through his cancer treatment, and he saw all of the men and women limbless in the hospital, shot, and he said, "Doc, can I just take them outside to cast?" That's how this started. And if it wasn't for him and his leadership and moving the needle in 2005, we wouldn't be here today, right? To carry on this mission. And with John Langford is our CEO, and he's a backseater, which we always make fun of him because he's a backseater. His leadership has driven this organization to be one more professional. And that's exactly where we are. Even though we're a nonprofit, We're a business with just a 501c3 behind our name.
Right.
And we're staging ourselves for the next 50 years, for the next 4 conflicts, for the next 5 conflicts, for the next 6 to always be here to provide that healing journey for our veterans forever.
It's quite the legacy of paying it forward. As we do wind down, I want to make sure that we point people back to the website. I think importantly to stay connected or get connected with you and the organization. Again, that's projecthealingwaters.org. Go there and enter the sweepstakes, donate as part
Look
of
for
that
the events, look for volunteer
entry, even though it's not
opportunities. Yeah.
required. Certainly encourage, donate outside of the sweepstakes, volunteer, get connected with the local program, all good things that you can do there.
So are we ready?
I think we are.
We're gonna play one more thing. I guess it's a game, right? Military Minute.
Oh, let's do it.
So spend 2 more minutes with us.
It's not hard.
You can't, just remember, full disclosure, you can't answer the question for the audience because it's about your organization.
Well, the first one you can because it's from the last
I
episode.
know, the Kelly Clarkson one.
Yes.
Right?
So last episode, our military minute question, what establishment did Kelly Clarkson work at before she eventually won the first season? Or what pizza establishment? Important detail there.
What,
Like what establishment?
Well, that's kind of a giveaway.
Well, no, so we gave that hint. So to be fair, I was going to give it
we
to you too.
we need to know the name of the
Before
pizza
she won the
establishment.
first season of American Idol. So what pizza place do you think she
Take
worked
a guess, John Jones.
Well,
at? It's one you've heard of.
I'd say Domino's.
Ooh, very close. Does he get a consolation prize or
It
not?
sounds like Papa John's.
It rhymes with schmappa schmans, right?
Yeah, no, she worked at Papa John's, the place that sends you the little garlic butter heart stopping stuff. But
Okay, I mean, there was one of 3, right? And
Pizza Hut.
Don't feel bad that Little Caesars wasn't included in your 4th, okay?
Yeah, pizza.
No, thanks.
Pizza.
I'm good.
So, but this question you can answer, and you may very well know this one because it's about fishing. So it's a 2-part question, actually. Tom's a big fan of the twofer. So what is the nickname for a fly fisherman, and what is the birthplace of fly fishing? So don't answer.
But give us a wink and a nod if you know the answer to those 2 questions, John.
He smiled real big.
All right.
So if you think you know the answer, or you think you can find the answer, when this episode drops, make sure that you comment with what you think it is. And if you are right, as well as for the Papa John's answer, you can be selected to win $50 for yourself and $50 for a charity of your choice. Project Healing Waters would be an awesome place to
worthy recipient
to direct those funds, to be sure. So, but thank you again, John, for spending time with us. Again, the website, projecthealingwaters.org, all of the important things, ways to take action are there, to be sure.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And John, if you enjoyed today's episode as much as John did, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, make sure to rate us and leave us a comment. Favorably for me, unfavorably for Jodi on your web. I think that
That was a typo.
That was a typo. On your favorite
typed
podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And John, we're on YouTube. So when this comes out, you can listen to episode 57 and share it on social, and then listen to the other 56 episodes while you're traveling across the country.
Oh yeah, you got time on your hands,
You got
man.
plenty of time.
You shouldn't have told us.
After episode,
You could have Tom's voice in your head for the entire trip. Thank
touch
you,
base
John.
soon, okay? But thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
And service.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Thanks, John.
Right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements or opinions of individuals referenced herein are their own, not Armed Forces Bank. Consult an appropriate professional concerning your specific situation and respective governing bodies for applicable laws, such as irs.gov for current tax law. Armed Forces Bank, the Armed Forces Bank logo, and the Militarily Speaking logo are registered trademarks of Armed Forces Bank.